Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody this morning?
Great.
We
What's with that? What do you have on that hat? Is that a fish?
It's a fish. That's my apparently
Show
there's
us.
it's a trout baseball cap.
Oh,
That's
okay.
yeah.
Didn't know you were a fisherman.
I'm not a fisherman. I'm not
All
a
right.
fisherman. My we've got a lake house up at Otis, and I know my son has been really getting into fishing somehow. He went with his buddy somewhere in East Long Meadow the other day, and they caught like 10 fish in an hour. So we go up to the
Whoa.
lake, and I feel like we catch maybe a couple in like 4 hours. So
All right.
um,
Cool.
I don't have what is it? What is it called when you're a good fisherman? Like if you're good in the garden, you got a green thumb. What is it when you're good at fishing? Anybody know? Do we have any fishermen on the call? Got anybody that's into fishing? Nobody?
I like fishing.
All right, there you go, Jen.
Angler,
You have
angler.
an angler?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess a hot hook. That was my guess.
Jen, what's the biggest fish you've ever caught?
It was a
Anything?
rainbow trout.
Yeah.
I think it was like,
Is that what I'm wearing on my hat? It says it's a trout baseball cap.
I can't see. I don't have
Oh,
um
I might
But-
have a
but I'm not like the one that has a fisherman story all the time. So it was just a rainbow trout. I don't remember size.
Yeah. Good stuff. Anybody else got a good fishing story for us before we get started today? I feel like it's one of those things that just being out in nature and being away from everything, it's got to be good for you, and you think of it as just like, oh, it's just a bunch of guys going out and getting hammered or something. But I think when you really get into it, I think it's got to be really good for your mental health. If you can not bring a case of beer every time or something. Lauren.
So I've actually got Ellie in the car with me, and she's got a fishing story for you.
All right, let's
Go
go.
ahead.
Okay, so one time when I was like 12, I had like a pack of rotten hot dogs and like a little one of those like Boulevard R2D2 rods, and I was like fishing in this little pond, and I like put on a rotten hot dog and I casted it out, and I got like one bite, and then I set the hook and then I reeled it in, and it didn't even feel like a big fish. I just thought it was like a little pumpkin seed. But then it was like a 5-pound bass.
Wow. That's awesome. That's the beauty of it. You never know. That's great. Thanks
And
for
she-
sharing.
She won the fishing tournament they were doing at where she was.
Tracy, it sounded like you had a story.
Yeah, I went fishing with my dad since I was little. He always took us to like 5 Mile ponds and places like that. But my husband's, I guess you would say, a serious angler, and he always goes out for the big boys. And I still can remember when my daughter was like 6, he took her out with his friends who again were like they were bringing out the big fish, and she got the biggest one. And it's a bragging story, to this day, that she beat them all, her 6-year-old self, just the cutest little girl with her little Coke bottle glasses. And it was the best.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Unfortunately, I was 10. My dad took me on this is my start to my fishing career, probably why I don't fish, but 10, Dad took me on the church deep sea fishing expedition. I felt like we went out there 2 hours. Everybody got sick. 2 guys are sitting there, like probably 30 people on this boat. 2 guys fish the whole time, catch a bunch of stuff. The other 28 people are just sick the entire time. Worst experience of my life. I can picture it right now being on that boat. So that's probably why I don't fish. But yeah, anyway. Who knew where we were going this morning? So, well, here's a story I had for you. This is an interesting one that I came across, it's like, man, some of these bloggers are really, really good at sharing knowledge and story, and it's obviously how we evolved with telling stories and the written word and everything. And this is a good one that I just felt like I had to share. Theme to today's song. So it goes like this. One day, a boy approached his father and asked, "What is my life worth?" The father handed his son a small stone and replied, "Take this stone to the market, and if anyone asks the price, raise your 2 fingers and don't say anything." The boy did as he was told, and he went to the market. An old woman approached him and asked, "How much is that rock?" "I want it for my garden." The boy held up 2 fingers, to which the woman replied, $2? I'll take it. Before she could complete the deal, the boy turned and ran home to tell his father what had happened. His father nodded and said, "Okay, now take the stone to the museum. If anyone asks the price, raise 2 fingers and don't say anything." The boy did as he was told and went to the museum, and a man in a suit approached him and asked, "How much is that stone? I want it for my home." The boy held up his 2 fingers, and the man replied, $200? I'll take it. Before he could complete the deal, the boy turned and ran home to tell his father what had happened. His father nodded and said, "Okay, now take the stone to the precious gem store. If the owner asks the price, raise 2 fingers and don't say anything." The boy did as he was told, and he went to the stone store. The owner of the store approached him and asked, "Where did you find that rare stone? I've been looking for it my entire life. How much will you sell it for?" The boy held up 2 fingers, to which the man replied, 20,000? I'll take it. But once again, before he could complete the deal, the boy turned and ran home to tell his father what had happened. Moral of the story is you get to choose your own worth, and you determine your value. It's dynamic, it's environment dependent. And just like that stone is different values to different people, I think we can be the same way. And it's up to us to find the environments that we are going to thrive in, that we're going to be around people that value us. And I think it's probably one of the biggest decisions that we got to make in our life is what do we feel like our value is, and what environment we're going to put ourselves in where we're getting, the most value. So I thought this was a good one. I think it applies to so many different aspects, in the real estate world as well. I wrote down just a couple of ideas that I had. The clients, just like the stone, properties are worth completely different things to different people. And if you've been doing this for a bit, you know that. To one person, it's an eyesore, and to the next person, it's an opportunity. They grew up in that neighborhood. They've got friends, a street over. They've got relatives. That could be a built-in babysitter that live close. The way that you market yourselves. Right? If you put some time and energy into marketing, it's one of these things, especially with social media these days. I think some of the best marketers, they're definitely not the best agents, but that's who they're putting themselves out there as, and they're working towards showing up as that. And people see different values in those things. So that's what I had. What did you guys hear? Anybody have an experience where they, changed their environment or approach, and it significantly altered a portion of your life, an outcome of a transaction? Anything coming to mind? Did we like the story? Did I get a thumbs up on the story at least? Or did I just miss today? All right. All right. Margareta.
All right, here I am. Well, I actually want to just what you said, Steve. With real estate, I had a deal, and KB probably remembers this one. Tobacco Road, and I've said you probably remember that one, Steve. And the reason why we got a really good price was because this is something to remember as an agent. Don't spill your beans about your buyers. They disclose, or the agent disclosed that they have a very close best friend that lives 2 houses down. So it was a younger couple, and they really wanted the house because of that, because they always hanged out. So as difficult as that transaction was, enough said, that was one of the primary reasons I think why it kind of kept going, and it's under agreement long time ago, and they lived happily ever after. But be careful what you say to the other agent, because that does emphasize the value to the buyer.
Yeah, I mean, we in real estate, I think it only takes one, right? And sometimes you've got a property that's just sitting, and you get just that right buyer, and it's a match made in heaven, and everybody's happy. But I think there's definitely a lot of value in there that we've got to talk to our clients about, not kind of letting the cat out of the bag and not sharing too much to help with our negotiations. Anybody else have kind of like a story like that, where it was like one lucky buyer property that was sitting? What do you got, KB?
Oh, I don't really have a story like that. I just have a comment on your story. Sorry, I was dropping the boys off camp. I
All
couldn't
right.
talk, but I think that is an incredible story. I think that a lot of times you put yourself in a position where you're doing really well and you feel your value, and then I think a lot of times in life, like, value kind of becomes kind of like an expectation, right? So, like, I can use my family as an example because it's just an easy one for me to use, right? I know that I'm a valuable member of my family, and I'm just talking about my personal immediate family. I'm talking about my entire extended family, right? I'm always the one who is relied upon, and that at one point was a huge value. It's something that brought me joy, made me feel good about myself, right? And then I think what happens is, over time, my family felt I was very valuable. And then I think over time you kind of lose the value to the people around you because it's expected. And then you kind of start letting that eat away at yourself. And that's what you have to be careful about, right? Because when it comes to value, you have to make sure that you're doing things in your life and you're making changes so that you're not losing your value to yourself. It shouldn't necessarily be value always to other people. It really has to be an internal thing. And I love that story because it's exactly what that dad taught that little boy. And I think it's amazing. I'm going to tell it to my kids. So thanks for the share.
Awesome. I'm glad that hit for you. And yeah, when I read it, I was like, this is definitely morning call material. So what do you got, Lauren?
Connecting back to what Margareta was saying, I think we had those instances happen a lot more often when we were sending the love you letters with our offers, right? Because we very intentionally were trying to catch an emotion of the person reading it. We tried to include something that would provide value through emotion rather than a monetary amount.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, kind of. It's like where the world goes, the legalese and the litigious society. It's just crazy how things can come in and out. I mean, I was just reading some of my real estate blog stuff to just make sure I'm staying on top of stuff, and it's like all of these associations and MLSs, they're all trying to create buyers agreements that are going to meet the new settlement rules. And it's like the buyers agreements are out there, and now there's legal teams that are attacking the agreements, and they're not transparent enough. And it's like, man, is anybody ever happy? Can we just move forward and help people, buy and sell real estate? It's crazy how these attorneys in these groups just love to just find something to complain about. It's weird. I mean, I'm all for consumer rights and everything. We've got to definitely protect that, but it's amazing to me. Jeff and Linda.
Okay, first, I love this story so much. It's just one to keep it close to your heart and in your back pocket at all times. But with respect to value, we have a seller who has a very modest condo, and she is on a fixed income, and she has put her heart and soul into this little place, and she has to sell it, and she is so offended by the offer that she received because she feels like her home, she's put so much value into it. And she got an offer from an investor buyer. It's 15,000 under list. And she is just beside herself with this offer, and she's taking it so personally and feeling like he just doesn't see all of this tremendous value that she's put into it. So she's very, very offended. And she turned then to us and said, well, I have to take this offer. And so you and Jeffrey have to cut your commission a point. And this is after, when we went into this deal with her, we knew her circumstances, and we already took a full point off when we negotiated with her, and we explained to her our value, and we have worked so hard for this woman. We have given her more time, energy, effort. I can't even tell you how much of our heart and souls we've put into accommodating her, and she's really been very nasty, and now she's come to this. So value, value, value. It's a great story.
Well, we got to continue the conversation, Linda. I mean, how are you guys going to approach this one? You've been doing this a long time. I think you know your value. You know, when you get approached with that situation, you know, what's going through your head, and then how did you respond?
Well,
Yeah, 'cause-
it's and it is hard not to get like to take the emotion out of it. Where we were shocked and flabbergasted that after all that we have done for her, and that she would even suggest such a thing. And now basically she's telling us again that, you know, we're making this impossible for her because of our outrageous fees. You know, and so we have reiterated to her all that we have done, all that we continue to do. She had tried to sell this home for sale by owner and had no success. And then she turned it over to an agent who she got it was a discounted fee, and she then had to do all of her own open homes, everything. This woman has cancer. It was shocking. And now she's asking us to take the same fee that this discounted broker charged her to do nothing. And so, but she doesn't care. So it's hard when you're trying to speak to somebody who is very, very irrational and won't even hear what you're saying. So you know, we had to explain to her that of course we cannot change compensation to the buyer's broker that has been listed in the MLS. She none of this matters to her, and it's very challenging to speak to someone who will not hear anything.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
Anybody-
throwing it out to, does
Yeah.
anybody have a great suggestion how to get through to her in any way?
Anybody want to hit this one? How long you been working with her, Linda?
Oh, we're going ahead. Maybe it feels like a decade, but I think it's been roughly 2 months.
Okay.
I mean, I've
And,
aged.
you know, I was just talking to an agent the other day that has a situation where he's fairly handy, and he took a listing, and he actually has gone into the property, helped this individual repair the property, like several $100s worth of his own labor into a property. I think he just charged her for the materials, you know, to get this property ready to bring to market. I think it helped her with some staging, like spent some time over there, moved stuff around. And then, you know, she wanted to price it a little bit high, no problem. And it hasn't moved, and they're chasing the market a little bit. And now she wants to cancel 3 months, literally in there making repairs, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, these are difficult situations. They're not easy, and people can be unreasonable. Go ahead, KB.
Yeah, I mean, Linda, I think this is a perfect example of taking the time to look inward and realizing your value. You know what I mean? Like, this woman has obviously tried to do this a couple different ways and wound up empty-handed. In the situation that you're in right now, she has an offer on the table. Like, an offer is better than nothing. So, I mean, in my opinion, and I am a heart on the sleeve kind of person, and I am always bending over backwards to make sure things can happen for other people. But in this instance, I think it's time to put on your big girl panties and sit down with your contract, because it sounds like you and Jeff have done every single thing that you promised her you would do when she signed a contract with you. Hopefully she signed a contract with you, like a buyer
Of
contract.
course. Of
You
course.
know, you've gone above and beyond what you told her you would do, and you produced her with an offer. So, I mean, to me, whether she gets it or not, if she wants to move forward, like, this is my commission. Or your other option is to keep it on the market and see if we can get something a little bit closer to what you're looking for. But sounds like she's kind of in a time crunch. So I don't know. I mean, I think that this is a perfect story. Like, you know what your value is. You've already discounted it to help because that was what your heart told you to do. And I think now it's time to play big girl ball.
Yeah, I mean, we have to stand strong. We certainly, I mean, if we discounted anything at this point, we'd be down to like a 1% commission on our side. And so that's just, it's not an option. It's not going to happen. But it's just tough when you're working so hard for someone and have gone so far beyond. We've never done so many open homes because she's insisted, okay, you know what I mean, and driven her all over the damn place. But just for her to just treat you like you're, just shit under her shoe. It's challenging to let that not affect you. Not that I feel like she's in any way, challenged my feeling about what we have done and the integrity of what we brought to her, but it just makes you feel like crap, when somebody just is so dismissive of all that you have done. Does that make sense?
I've been there so many times, and I think, look, I don't think there's a right answer. I think KB's answer is a great answer.
Yes.
I could see, I've been in a complete opposite situation where I've got a client that is such a goddamn nightmare, right? And I got a 6-month contract. I don't want to deal with this guy for another 4 months. You know what? Like, I have realized I don't want to be dealing with you because you are just tearing the lifeblood out of me.
Yes.
Every time I see, and so, you know what? Fine, let's do it, be done. And that's it,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm just saying every situation is unique. And you've got to figure out what's right for you in this particular scenario. It sounds like, the KB route for you on this is probably the better way to go. Like, her situation, you've done your job. But at the end of the day, if you feel like it's going to be another 4 months of hell, is it worth it? So KB.
I just think that this is a interesting topic, right? Because it's about the seller and the value that they believe their property has, and it's a good thing for us to be able to kind of talk about, because this happens all the time. You have someone who, they put an above ground pool in, and they think that that's going to add a certain amount of value to what they're going to get when they sell it, or they redid their kitchen and it cost them 30 grand, so now their house is worth 30 grand more, and it's just not. Value is really in the eye of the beholder. I guess it kind of depends on what you're actually valuing and how much things actually improve your property. So I'm just curious if people have been in a situation where they've, put a house on the market that had some significant upgrades, and you had to have a conversation about what the value of those upgrades would be to a buyer, as opposed to how the seller feels they are and what those conversations sounded like.
I mean, I've had that conversation a million times, and you can tell them till you're blue in the face. You can show them all the comps, and they still think that their kitchen is worth the $30,000 that they spent on it. I mean, it's like, it's almost every single time they just don't want to believe it. Because it's their house, right? It's like what we talked about. Like to them, it's a $20,000 gem, not a $2 rock. Period. In the story.
Right.
You
Is it
know,
is it is it
that's
called cognitive dissonance or I mean she just thinks hers is perfect, but every home we go see that she's looking at, we're going to go in 30,000 under list price, literally, and and we'll say, but Marie, you get very upset if someone comes in lower on your, well, that's because mine is this and this is that. And then she'll, go on for an hour about every little thing she's done. And, she cleaned the house. Okay.
Yeah.
It's joyful stuff.
Yeah. Look, and this is where it doesn't get documented on what we do, right? This is the part of the job that the outside world will never understand unless you've done it, unless you've walked in our shoes, where you've done work and got trampled on and never get paid for it sometimes. It's some people see these commissions sometimes and you're like, oh my God, you got paid that for this? Yeah, but let me tell you the background, right? So, Margareta.
Just a quick something just came to me. Linda, have you told her, kind of give her the kind of ultimatum, like, listen, you've been on this market. What are you waiting for? What exactly do you expect? That you're going to go, 10,000 over, 20,000 over? How much is that worth to you? Number one, if you don't get another offer, that's better. And number two, because I'm telling you, in my experience, that's not going to happen. And number two is your time is more valuable, obviously, here. So how much longer are you willing to just sit here and do this? Are there any expenses associated with this that she's paying, maybe, that you can highlight that, like, this is costing you so much of your emotional time, of your time, which is limited, obviously, if she's got issues, health issues. Is this really what you want to be doing? We have a proven track record here that there were so many people involved in this transaction and it couldn't happen. I made it happen for you. What are you waiting for? So just a thought.
Thank you. Yeah, she's waiting for the number that she has decided that this place is worth, and she's got it fixed in her brain that this is the correct number, and that everybody on the planet can see this, and this buyer is going to come forth. And I don't think her number is wrong. It's our market. So
well, that's what you have to highlight to her, Linda. You got to just say, listen, your number could be fantastic. Anything's possible in this world given time, money, and resources. But number one, you don't have the money. I mean, you don't have the time. And, this resource that you have here to sell is just, it is what it is. We're not getting anything else. The market has changed. I am the professional that I'm showing it to you. You don't want to believe in me? You're going to be sitting here like a lame duck. Is that what you want to do? Because that's what's going to happen.
Well,
you got to push her.
We have tried to highlight to her that, yes, you're going to be selling a little bit lower than you wanted to, but you are going to be buying a little bit lower than you wanted to. If you had sold the home last year and it would have sold for $250, you would have turned around and then you would have had to have bought high. So we're talking about the same spread in terms of what the type of home that you want to move into and the step down in terms of price. It would be exactly the same. You're getting caught up and stuck on a number. But what you have to look at is what you're going to take away from it to be able to apply to the next one. And that's going to be the same. So it's not like you're in one market where you're going to sell low and then you have to go buy high. You're going to have the same benefit on your buy side. And I don't know.
Linda,
yes, sir.
I got a couple of talking tracks potentially that could help. So the first one is the property unique in any way, or is it run of the mill?
No, it's lovely and it is unique, but it is a 1-bedroom, and there aren't a lot of people who want to buy a 1-bedroom property either as an investment or as a home down here.
It's a house?
No. It's a condo. I apologize.
Condo. Okay. All right, so it's not unique. There's other 1-bedroom condos in that complex Is that
Well, no,
fair?
but it does have some very unique features to it. I can't explain it all, but I mean, yes, it's in a condominium complex, but it does have some unique features and some very lovely features that not every
Where
other.
I was gonna, yeah, where I was gonna go with it is, I mean, typically we're dealing with properties that aren't that unique. I mean, they got a couple of features, et cetera, but they're not really, really unique. You know, typically you're seeing unique when you get up into the higher end. You can get a rare property on the lower ends that you could have some uniqueness. So the conversation that I like to have, and you can even have this, you know, earlier when a property's sitting or whatever, but is we expose this to the market. All of the buyers that are currently out there, and this is why I think the price is wrong, right? All of the buyers have looked at this thing. Right? And if you think it's that unique, that there's going to be, well, let's say, I don't know, there's 300 buyers for this particular condo. All 300 looked at this thing online. Some of them actually came to the property, took time out of their day. They've all passed. So now what we're waiting for is we're waiting for buyer 301 to enter the market and say, you know what? Those 300 buyers were all wrong. This is worth it, and I'm going to buy it for this price, right? The only way that that's happening is if you have true uniqueness in a property, right? If there isn't true uniqueness, that's not going to happen. The market is the market, right? And there's a huge buying pool out there right now where you're not in some remote area, right? You're in an area that's got plenty of buyers. The market's seen it. They've all said no. Buyer 301's not coming in and disagreeing with the herd, you know?
Mhm.
So, like, sometimes those kinds of conversations, now, if we've got unique, we're remote in some corner of Maine, and it's a log cabin, you know, that's doesn't have heat, I don't know, something really, really unique, then buyer 301 could come in. Or maybe the buying pool is only 50 right now, so we don't have a good sample size. So when 51 comes in, they might disagree with the first 50. But you got a condo in Florida. There's a million of them. There's a million buyers. The market doesn't lie on the run of the mill stuff. So that talking track can help sometimes. It's up to you to figure out, are those factors that unique that you really think 301 comes in and goes, they were all wrong, you know? Go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, you're all making great points. I think the challenge is if the buyer's listening. I mean, the seller's listening.
Right.
You know, is she going to be receptive to any of it, or does she just want to vent? And I think you're so patient, Linda. So I think this is good. Just sitting with her and letting her just say everything she needs to say, because I know as soon as you want to say something good, she'll probably interrupt you because she just wants to say what she wants to say. I actually just dealt with something like this yesterday. The lady wasn't listening to anything I was saying, and I was trying to help her. So after hearing her vent about the same thing over and over and not letting me speak, and she was getting emotional, I mean, I could see it from a completely different standpoint. And I eventually just asked for a piece of paper. And then I just asked her for a minute just so I could get my thoughts down. And I wrote down everything that she was saying. And then, like, the bright side of what was happening, or the other side. Yes, you know, okay, so like her house appraised for 20,000 less, but the buyers in the offer agreed to pay 10,000 over asking. All she's thinking is, I lost $10,000 here, you know, and then ranted about the other things. Yes, but the buyers are thinking, oh my gosh, I'm paying $10,000 more than a professional is telling me that it's worth. So, you know, kind of, but it wasn't until then that she just read and couldn't interrupt me. And then I feel like she was calm, and then I was able to leave, but I was really just, you know, putting our second hats on as realtors, or therapist hats, and just listening and being patient, you know? And, but I feel like that really helped. And I feel like I did that because I felt like I had no other choice, because she wasn't listening to anything I was saying. But I do feel like it helped. And I think I did it not because I was trying to tell her something, but because I was trying to help her. And I wanted her to get the message and see the bright side, you know? And I know that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to help them understand. We're not, we're trying to help, but they don't see it like that. It's very different. And back in the day when, an inspection would be 2 weeks out, I used to think, the buyers would then say, oh, well, then they'd want to nickel and dime them. And I thought, oh my gosh, see what happens? 2 weeks goes by just because that, for whatever reason, was, took that long to get an inspection, right? And then the buyer has this different attitude. Well, we did an inspection in 2 days, and this lady had a different attitude. She's ready to pay $5,000 more than she did for the property. And then 2 days later had an inspection, and there was a cracked window she didn't notice. And now she wants the broken pane fixed. I'm like, what? And adamant about it. So I'm like, I think it's just this mental thing where whatever their insecurity is, that they're being taken or whatever, it's just, we have to bear the brunt of it. And it sucks. Like, it's really hard. It just is. And some people are better than others, right? But it's just part of the challenge, and it is really hard. But anyway, I just wanted to offer that, writing it out, because really I felt like I was there for 2 hours, and I felt maybe 3, I don't even know. And I felt like I just didn't know what else to do. My voice wasn't heard.
Well, that was a great idea, and I'm glad that worked out so nicely for you. That was good thinking.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great share, Jen. A different approach than we had come at this with, and that's the beauty of the call, right? Somebody else might be hearing this a little bit different, and we just love when you guys speak up. So great share. Hopefully, Linda, that you can get this deal put together and move forward and sleep well at night. So
Thank you all
appreciate
so
you
much.
guys. Have yourselves an awesome Thursday. We'll get back at it again tomorrow before the holidays.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.